A smile, so simple, so universal, so deeply disarming. In every culture, every era, it has served as a bridge connecting strangers, softening tension and extending peace without a single word. It's the currency of goodwill, a gesture of openness, a signal that says, I am safe, I am kind, I mean you no harm. And yet, what if that very signal, so innocent, so comforting, was not a sign of peace, but a camouflage? What if, behind the warm curve of the lips, there lingered cold intention, a calculation, a strategy, even a quiet weapon? In the modern world, whether in boardrooms, political debates, international diplomacy, or even within the quiet spaces of friendship and romance, we're encouraged to play nice, to be likable, to smile, nod, and agree. Civility is rewarded, charm is currency, and smiles, they are often the price of admission to social approval. But have you ever paused to ask, who designed that game? Who benefits when we smile back automatically? When we say yes too quickly, trust too easily, or fall under the spell of a well-practiced grin? The answer is unsettling. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychoanalyst and myth-maker of the soul, believed that every human being wears a mask of persona, carefully crafted to navigate the expectations of society. The mask is not necessarily false, but it is incomplete. It hides, it edits, it plays a role. And what happens when someone doesn't just wear the mask but masters it? What happens when the persona becomes a tool of domination rather than adaptation? That is where Niccolò Machiavelli enters the stage. A Renaissance thinker, often cast as a villain, sometimes misunderstood as a cynic, but rarely appreciated as a realist. Machiavelli did not invent deception, i.e., simply stripped it of its sacred dress, dissected it with surgical clarity, and offered it to the ambitious like a dagger wrapped in velvet. He saw power for what it was, he saw people for what they are, and he saw the smile not as a symbol of sincerity but as a weapon of influence. Today, we peel back the comforting veil. We expose the strategy behind the smile. We enter a world where Jung's psychology meets Machiavelli's cunning world, where masks don't hide weakness, but wield control. Part 1. The smile as a weapon. Let's begin with one of the most underestimated instruments of influence in the human arsenal. The smile. Simple, subtle, and universally recognized, it's often the first thing we notice and the last thing we question. Yet hidden behind that soft curve of the lips may lie a razor-sharp strategy. Modern neuroscience confirms what ancient manipulators already knew intuitively. The human brain is biologically programmed to respond favorably to smiles. A genuine smile lights up the limbic system, the part of our brain responsible for emotion, connection, and empathy. It creates a cascade of chemical rewards: dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin. These are not small effects. These are the very hormones of trust. That's why children smile instinctively when they want something. That's why job applicants smile in interviews. Why politicians beam at rallies. Why criminals sometimes charm entire communities before revealing their true face. The smile is not merely a gesture, it is a psychological trigger. It lowers defenses. It diffuses suspicion. It buys chimney. Con artists have known this for centuries. So have skilled negotiators. So have tyrants in tailored suits. Because when you smile, people stop asking hard questions. They want to believe you. They want to like you. And in that suspended moment of trust, power silently slips from their hands into yours. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this paradox deeply. In the Princi, he offered a chilling truth, wrapped in graceful Italian prose. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. It's one of the most important lines in political philosophy and, perhaps, one of the most disturbing. Appearance is not only different from reality, it can replace reality in the eyes of the masses. A smile, then, is not necessarily an expression of truth. It can be a costume, a calculated projection, a mask carefully crafted not to reveal your intentions, but to hide them. And what's most dangerous is how effective it is. A man may smile as he signs away your freedom. A woman may smile as she sharpens her ambition. A friend may smile just before they betray you. This is not paranoia. This is not cynicism. This is realism. The battlefield of power is not fought only with weapons, or worse, it is often fought with expressions, gestures, and tones of voice. Smiles are the silent daggers of the social world. They do not make noise. They do not leave bruises, but they can wound, control, and conquer just the same. To live in the modern world without understanding this is to walk through a hall of mirrors with your eyes closed, because the smile, when weaponized, is more effective than any sword. It cuts without pain and leaves no trace. Part 2. The persona and the shadow. If Machiavelli saw the world as a chessboard of appearances and power plays, Carl Jung looked into the soul behind a masquerade. What he saw was staggering. Jung introduced a psychological framework that complements and deepens Machiavelli's realism. At the center of his theory is the persona, the social face we present to the world. It is the version of ourselves we curate to fit in, to be accepted, to be loved. It's the smile at the dinner table, the firm handshake in the meeting, the calm voice in public chaos. The persona is not a lie. It's a necessity. It allows us to function in society without showing the full chaos of our inner world. But it is only a fragment of the full self. Behind the persona, Jung claimed, lies the shadow, hidden, rejected, repressed parts of the psyche. Anger, envy, lust, greed, cowardice, cruelty, everything we are ashamed of or afraid to confront is buried there, and it doesn't disappear. It waits. And here's the danger. When we deny the shadow, it grows more powerful. Jung warned that those who refuse to acknowledge their inner darkness are possessed by it. They project it onto others. They see evil outside themselves while remaining blind to the same forces within. Machiavelli never used the language of the shadow, but his insights mirror its existence perfectly. He did not believe that humans were good or evil. He believed they were both, and that the wise ruler is the one who accepts this duality, both in others and in themselves. It is necessary for a prince to learn how not to be good, Machiavelli wrote. Notice how carefully the phrase is constructed. Not to be evil, but to learn how not to be good. What does this mean? It means moral flexibility. It means learning when to set aside idealism for strategy, when to sacrifice short-term virtue for long-term survival. It means recognizing that purity in politics is often punished, while cunning is rewarded. And most importantly, it means coming to terms with your shadow, because true power, authentic, lasting, transformative power does not come from denying who you are. It comes from integrating who you are, from knowing when to smile and when to strike, from learning when to bend the truth and when to stand firm in it, from accepting your capacity for both kindness and cruelty and choosing consciously how to wield both. Jung called this process individuation, the journey toward wholeness. Machiavelli might have called it survival in a world where appearances deceive and power corrupts. The fusion of Jung's psychology and Machiavelli's realism gives us a map. It tells us not only how others operate, but how we operate, and that self-knowledge is the most dangerous weapon of all. Because once you see your own mask, once you feel the weight of your own shadow, you are no longer just a player in the game. You become a strategist, a sovereign, a self-aware force in a world of illusions. Part 3. Manipulation hidden in kindness. The smile that deceives, the hand that controls. Here's the great paradox of manipulation. Those who seek to control you rarely look like villains. They don't come wearing dark cloaks or bearing swords. They come smiling, helpful, warm, generous. Sometimes they offer their coat when you're cold. Sometimes they listen when no one else does. Sometimes they become exactly who you needed until you realize it was never for you, it was always for them. Machiavellians understand something fundamental. Real power lies not in brute force, but in perception, and kindness, when used strategically, is one of the most potent illusions in the world. It disarms you. It melts resistance. It creates debt. They don't do you favors out of goodwill. Every gesture has a purpose. Every word is a probe. Every smile is a calculation. They offer warmth, not to connect, but to weaken your defenses. They flatter you not to praise, but to uncover your desires. They help you not to save you, but to bind you to ensure you owe them, and that debt becomes the leash. And if you ever question their motives, they'll raise their eyebrows and say, "After everything I've done for you." Carl Jung warned us of this danger. He believed that the unconscious, when ignored, becomes the playground of the manipulator. If you do not know what drives you, someone else will, and they will use it. He wrote of the Shadruda, hidden part of the psyche, where our deepest desires, fears, and vulnerabilities lie. If we remain unaware of this shadow, we become blind to it in others and, even more dangerously, in ourselves. Now, picture two people standing in the same room. One is open-hearted, trusting, always looking for the good in others. They see what's on the surface and accept it as truth. The other is watching, analyzing, decoding the subtext. They know every smile has weight, every silence has meaning. They listen more than they speak. And when they speak, it's always with purpose. One walks into the world with innocence. The other walks in with strategy. So ask yourself, in a world where masks are currency, who survives? More importantly, who wins? And if you find yourself sympathizing with the trusting one, stop and ask, are you being noble or are you being naive? Part 4. Modern Machiavelli, the dark art in the age of influence. This is not just a relic of the Renaissance. It's not just ink in an old book or dust on Machiavelli's tomb. It's alive. It's updated. It's thriving. Today, psychologists don't just study Machiavellianism in theory, they measure it. Along with narcissism and psychopathy, it forms what modern psychology calls the dark triada trio of traits that, when present together, often predict a cold, calculating, and exploitative personality. But here's the twist most people miss. These people do not appear monstrous. They appear magnetic. They're the ones who know how to read a room. They mirror your body language. They laugh at your jokes. They remember the names of your friends. They know how to make you feel seen, heard, validated, and, just as quickly, they know how to make you feel dependent. They don't take power. They are given it voluntarily. Why? Because they make you feel good. They make you feel important. They know exactly what you want to hear, and they deliver it with flawless timing. And once they've earned your trust, your admiration, your loyalty, that's when the game begins. In politics, it's the candidate who tells every group exactly what they want to hear, never mind if the messages contradict. Truth is irrelevant. Perception is king. In business, it's the charismatic CEO who makes inspiring speeches on ethics and culture, but quietly exploits workers, manipulates numbers, or builds their empire on unpaid favors and strategic lies. In friendships and relationships, it's the person who always needs a little help but never seems to give it, the one who makes you feel guilty for having boundaries, the one who makes their problems your responsibility. They've learned that being liked is more powerful than being feared because the liked manipulator doesn't need to dominate. They only need to be believed. And so we must ask ourselves, how many of our heroes are actually strategists in disguise? How many of our friends are using affection as armor? How many of our decisions are truly ours end? How many have been planted subtly, skillfully, by someone who knows our mind better than we do? The game hasn't changed. Only the rules have evolved. Only the masks have improved. What was once a prince in a palace is now a social media influencer selling authenticity. What was once a court strategist is now a corporate leader with perfect branding. What was once a sly diplomat is now your friend, your lover, maybe even yourself. Because here's the final truth no one wants to admit. The more you understand manipulation, the more you're tempted to use it. So be careful. The smiling face might be hiding a dagger, and sometimes it's your own reflection. Part 5. How to see through the smile. So what can you do? How do you protect yourself in a world where manipulation often wears a mask of warmth? Carl Jung would offer a powerful starting point. Know your own darkness first, because the person who is unaware of their own shadow will unconsciously project it onto others and in doing so become an easy target for deception. The truth is, the better you know your own capacity for manipulation, for ego, for hidden desire, the better you become at sensing those same forces in others, not through paranoia but through clarity. You begin to feel the tension beneath someone's grin. You notice when a compliment is timed too perfectly. You detect the subtle way guilt is used to bind you, or how generosity comes with unspoken strings attached. So don't assume kindness equals goodness. That's a dangerous shortcut. Don't confuse charisma with integrity. Charm is the sugar that coats the poison. Look past the smile. Ask yourself the real questions few people dare to ask in the moment. What does this person truly want from me? What are they afraid of losing? How does my trust benefit them more than it benefits me? Is this connection built on truth, or is it built on transaction? These questions are not cynical. They are conscious. Because in a world driven by hidden agendas, clarity is self. Machiavelli once said, men judge more by the eyes than by the hands, because seeing is easier than feeling. And he was right. Most people believe what they see. They follow smiles, handshakes, polite words, and polished appearances. They're drawn to confidence, even when it's hollow. But seeing is not enough. The eyes can be fooled. The face is the most practiced mask. Feeling, however truly sensing, that's where discernment lives. When you develop the ability to feel intentions rather than just interpret appearances, you take your power back. You become harder to manipulate because you are no longer hypnotized by surface impressions. To feel is to listen beyond the spoken word, to notice the tension between someone's words and their body language, to pay attention to how you feel after an interaction, not just during it, to trust your discomfort rather than suppress it in the name of politeness. And it's not just about protecting yourself from others, it's about liberating yourself from your own illusions about people, relationships, even yourself. Because once you see clearly, you no longer crave false peace. You no longer need to be liked by everyone. You no longer mistake comfort for connection. Conclusion: Machiavelli taught us that power is rarely honest, that behind every noble speech may lie a scheme, that appearances are crafted, not for truth but for influence. Carl Jung, on the other hand, taught us that truth must begin within, that before you can see through others, you must first see through yourself, your own fears, your own projections, your own blind spots. Together, their ideas create a paradoxical duet, dark, dangerous, but deeply enlightening. So the next time someone smiles at you, don't rush to trust, but don't rush to judge. It's just palsy. Let silence speak before words do. Observe, listen, feel. Ask yourself, is this a smile of genuine connection or a performance designed to pull me in? Does this smile make me feel safe or slightly off balance, subtly indebted? Not all who smile are friends. Not all enemies wear scowls. In fact, some of the most dangerous people you will ever meet will be those who make you feel good too quickly. In a world of diplomacy, politics, business, and even romance, masks are everywhere. And smiles are the most trusted mask of all. So train your inner eye, sharpen your psychological instincts, and most of all develop a relationship with your shadow, because only those who have seen the darkness within themselves can truly see what hides in others. And in the end, it's not the sword you see that cuts deepest, it's the one that's hidden. And the most dangerous tactics are the ones hidden behind smiling faces.